I wouldn't call it ballady. I would say it's moody and slower and feels good. I think those ballads we wrote were, those were.
Well, there's no more FM radio, so who wants it?
We do have a new slow song for the next record.
I haven't heard it. They say it's an epic, so we'll see.
How did you guys pass the time during the pandemic?
What's that?
How did you pass the time during the pandemic?
Sitting on the couch, eating chips, watching Netflix.
Everybody else, right?
Steve?
Gardening, cleaning up poop, a lot of yard projects. Yeah, I spent a lot of time outside.
Dave?
Writing, recording, mixing, wrapping shit up before I go on tour with these guys.
Chuck?
Got 2 new puppies.
What kind?
2 puppies, racing puppies. Isolated them. Smoked a lot of weed. A lot of weed.
What kind of dogs?
Too much. Miniature attack dachshunds.
Awesome.
Yeah. I spent time just at home trying to not go out and do things. So we found times sitting with the dogs, man. I have 2 older dogs that are getting towards the end of their life, so it's nice to spend a lot of time with those dogs.
Yeah, I did a bunch of these guest projects, quarantine videos, starting with the Rush project, probably Benente, that led to a bunch of others. Some instrumental shows wearing masks, which is surreal. We did a bunch of these live stream shows, and then got some organizing done. Long put off organizing, and riding my bike around when everybody was on lockdown in New York City.
Boxers or briefs?
Not that again.
I want to see who's telling the truth.
Banana hammock. No. But briefs?
Boxer briefs.
Yeah, boxers.
Yeah, that's it.
Steve?
Long johns.
Okay, this is kind of a 2-part. If you're a guitar player starting and beginning, what advice would you have? As well as what is your best advice heading into the recording studio?
As a guitar player?
I was asking for my son who's recently started playing guitar and he's learning a lot, and I just wondered if you had a bit of advice for someone starting out in the field, like something you learned over your years, and if you had any bit of advice for when a band goes into the studio for the first time. What do you think the most important thing is to going in there to go after?
Be nice to the bass player.
Yeah, well, patience and perseverance is the most important thing. It's a little. I imagine it's. I'm terrible at sports, but I imagine it's like getting good at a sport. You don't notice any results for a few days at a time, but over time, over weeks and months, then you start to notice.
Okay,
I would think being well rehearsed to go in there, you don't want to waste your hours and spending money in there, so you want to really be prepared when you go there.
Yeah, before you go in the studio, be as prepared as possible.
Eric didn't hear the question. A guitar player starting out, like your beginning advice, as well as going into the studio to record, what would be your advice?
Well, playing guitar, you got YouTube now. You can learn pretty much anything on YouTube and get tutorials.
What about going into the recording studio?
Yeah, any advice for a first-time band going in to record?
Probably something like Logic. That's really good to use. It's cheap.
I would say be well rehearsed and don't rely on the technology.
But for new,
It translates in the final product, but you can hear people that are in command of the music as opposed to people that just stick pieces together.
I would imagine be happy with your amp sound, that it comes across to what you're recording. So you're not used to playing, it sounds great playing this, and you get in there, it totally sounds different. You want to make sure that you're happy with what their engineer's getting for you.
I'll start with Eric and work my way down. Who are your influences?
All the guitar players from the 70s. So many guitar players. Tony Iommi, Eddie Van Halen, Pat Travers, Frank Iron Maiden, so many. Yeah.
Who's your bass influence?
You know, that's more of a question of for young me. Because I don't know, I guess nowadays I kind of use my experiences as influence. I don't know. It's not a cop-out answer, but
When you started out, who were like
yeah,
your
I mean,
biggest
the
kind of
Giants-
heroes?
The Giants and the, you know, Geezer Butler and Geddy Lee, Steve Harris, Bob Daisley, Dave Pegg, Cliff, you know, Stanley Clark. The guys just stood out and did something with the instrument instead of just following along like a
Right.
homo, yeah.
Yep.
So that's what groomed me to stay out of the shadows.
Dave, some influences?
Yeah, how'd you get
John
into drums?
Bonham, you know, Ginger Baker, Mitch Mitchell. I remember watching Johnny Carson, Buddy Rich play.
Buddy Rich, right?
And that blew me away. Afro-Caribbean drummers, because I'm Cuban, so I grew up in Cuban culture. And within our culture, there's a lot of African drums.
Cool.
And, so I'm very much inspired by those kinds of rhythms and that music as well.
Excellent.
So that's like the deep rooted Dave. There's also what my brothers used to listen to, which is R&B. My older brother loved Tina Turner, Chaka Khan, War, Dionne Warwick, you know, Supremes.
I was just jamming to Spill the Wine yesterday, in fact, by War. Love it.
And then my other brother was into Led Zeppelin and, you know, Janis Joplin, Big Brother and the Holding Company, Cream, especially Cream. So that's all over.
Right on, right on.
I'm kind of like Dave. You know, I had an older brother that listened to, you know, that same kind of stuff, Crosby, Stills, Nash, you know, Hendrix, all that stuff. So I actually, you know, didn't want to be a singer. I actually wanted to learn how to play guitar and be a guitar player. But when my influence as far as vocally, of course, was like Dio, and when I started trying to take lessons to learn how to become a singer, I learned to try to be a singer, you know, before I got into this band. So I was influenced by, you know, guys that carried a note. And then once I joined this band, I think James Hetfield was probably like the main person for me that it's like, okay, what would James do on this kind of riff? Because this style of music for me was more to the beat, you know, the vocal style for me instead of trying to find a melody over the rhythm. So, you know, I have two kind of different influences. When I got in this, it was more singers that sang, you know, to the timing of the music. So, but Hetfield was probably the number one.
Yeah, I mean, so many influences, but I'd say the two biggest that relate to what we're doing here is Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads. And then I started checking out their influences. So, Alan Holdsworth's music was a big inspiration on Van Halen, especially his earlier stuff. And I know Randy Rhoads, like Al Viola, I got into him, listening to John McLaughlin, and got Together and stuff, which led to a lot of other stuff too. But so if I had to name a few.
So going with what Chuck just said, when you first started, was guitar was that the first thing you started on guitar and went with that? Like you ended up vocals, was drums the first thing you went with, and bass and guitar?
I think the first instrument I held in my hand was a guitar.
Okay.
I played a bit of piano before guitar,
Okay.
which I've gotten more into lately. But guitar was just the one. Once I got into guitar,
That was you found what was for you.
For
Right
each
on.
of you, what's the difference in touring now and in the 80s?
Hangovers.
Less of them now.
Not much
I
sleep.
feel much better.
Yeah. Not a lot of sleep, hangovers. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Steve's the same.
I guess I'm in the 80s this week.
It seems like we punch people on our dream more now that we're.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that last night. Had a dream I was punching some guy, and just some guy, I don't know what, and I punched the bottom of his bunk because he sleeps above me, I punched that. And I asked him this morning, hey, did you hear me punch the bunk last night? I said, yeah, I did. You woke me up.
I thought he was telling me to stop all the noise.
That'd be fun to explain on tour. Why are you in that cast?
And then one last question.
Wait, I have one more thing to add. It's very different because you used to go on tour and be completely disconnected from the rest of the world. You know, you have to talk to your friends and family on a payphone. You'd line up at a payphone at a truck stop.
Read the newspaper when
You
you're in
didn't have
Europe.
email. So I think it's in some ways it's much better now because we're all connected.
Awesome.
You guys get bored on tour?
Yes.
Oh,
What do
lot
you
of
do when
waiting.
you get bored?
Sleep.
Watch Family Feud.
Last question for all of you guys. Do you think there would be a Slayer reunion?
I don't think there will be.
I don't know. Only one of us is probably called.
I don't know.
I don't talk to them.
Well, since we were on that farewell tour, and I could tell the way Kerry dropped that chain that was going to be it. He wasn't going back. You know, and I think he's kind of a guy that probably keeps to his word, something like that.
But then in an interview, he said he ended Slayer too early.
Again, yeah, I'm sure he misses it. I'm sure.
I feel like at some point you want to be able to stop and enjoy
He's not
everything
too
you've
old,
done.
too,
But
so it's sad that it came to that because he's not too old to stop. So I'm sure he misses it. You know, it's a part of who he is. I'm sure anybody who they are. But I'm talking about him because
They also stopped right before everything shut down.
Yeah.
The timing.
All right, I'm going to do some photos. So I'm going to ask everybody to kind of scoot back.
Thanks, guys.
Like I said, I'll do them one